being in Inglewood, it's interesting because a lot of, I think now because gangster rap got so big, I don't think people really appreciate all the DJ genius that was going on the King T albums, on the Eazy-E albums, on the Ice-T, even Ice-T and Eazy-E, NWA, all that early music, and King T, like you said, bass, in the bass video, they had the speakers. I remember that too.
Yeah.
But
the DJs controlled LA.
And Rodney O and Joe Cooley too, of course, had a lot of great stuff on there. But growing up, what was the DJ culture like in Inglewood, in the LA area around that time that made you want to get so involved in that side of it?
Well, you know what? And when I first started liking DJing, it was one guy. It was few people trying to DJ. A lot of people trying to DJ, but they didn't take it seriously. The only person that took it serious was my homeboy, Weir Harold. And his pops, you know, when it came to music, they got blessed with some guys that was older than the game. Like, I'm talking about all the old records that wasn't even on the radio. They had 12 inches, everything. So they got blessed. I was able to walk and work in between with them in high school. So, and Looney Tunes, actually the rapper I had in Looney Tunes was a DJ at first. His name was DJ Luno. And Harold and Luno were saxophone players in the high school. So they were already musical. I took like a music theory type class, like, you know, knowing where this sound come from and how to mix that. That's how, like, it comes now to when I produce now, I know what instruments I'm playing and where they go at and how to, you know, I learned more of a theory of music than actual reading notes and going on. So, it was very slim. Band was bigger than DJing. So our DJs in high school was Egyptian Lover and Bobcat, actually, and a guy named, what was this guy name? Oh, I can't think of his name. That was my buddy.
Right there, you got two heavy hitters right there. Jeez.
Yeah, those are believe it or not, my attitude for West Coast hip hop came from Bobcat. Bobcat scooped me up through Slip in that business and took me out on the town one night and just kind of like, because I was going to be part of the California Cat Crew with him and Battle Cat. I met Battle Cat first, then I met Bobcat, then me and Battle Cat started talking. We was all like around 17, 18 years old, but Cat was a little older than me. But that's what my attitude, him and Ice-T. Ice-T actually let me DJ for him when I was in high school. I kind of like put it on him. It's a funny story, man. I did a lot of weird stuff because I was from Inglewood. I knew I had to put a niche up in there because LA was not having Inglewood. Inglewood's, it's a force to be reckoned with. And LA as a whole was not dealing with that. You know, so I think I was in the 12th grade. 11th grade. Ice-T, before he had just did Dog in the Wax, and he was on Unknown label. And I went home and paid this guy that had a stolen car to go home and paid him $5, $6 to take me home and bring my equipment back there. I said, I'll get it home by myself. Just go park that car. And we got it up there. And Ice-T looked at me like, oh, you the DJ for the thing? And I'm like, no, I'm DJing for you. He looked at me and fell out laughing. And Evil E, what it was, I heard him in the back, and Evil E said he had to go somewhere. So he and G stayed, and Ice-T stayed. And I'm looking for like where African Islam at. He wasn't there. So I had bought all their records at the time. And he actually let me DJ for him in high school. It didn't change my reputation. I was actually the only DJ. Me and Harold was the only DJs in high school and Looney Tunes. There's a few people that dabbled, but they were always kind of scared to get in front of a crowd. Oh, my boy B-Wag. They were the only ones.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so it was a small little world within itself, but I was the only one that was never scared to walk outside that box and go DJ. I would leave, and when I was in the 12th grade, I would hop the fence, and Slip would come get me, and I would DJ at Dorsey High, Linwood. I would go to Washington. They hated me at Washington. The only way they got cool with me at Washington High School, the people from Washington High School, I DJ for 8. That was the only reason. And my boy Dazzy D, I should DJ for Dazzy D too.
Dazzy D.
A little bit. Yeah, Dazzy D with Sir Jakes.
So then what made you gravitate toward DJing more than trying to be a rapper?
I'm not good with words, man. I'm more hands-on. I'd rather be quiet and soak up the information and try to transform it out where I even least expect it. You see what I'm saying? I'm not a good, put it this way, I shut off in the 11th grade. But my English skills were, they said when I took tests to go to college, they said it was UCLA, USC level, but I hated English. It was like, it's just, I don't know. I can't tell you. It was just something in my head that made me just, music, I listen to the essence of music, where the whole background, the feel, where it make you feel inside. When that 808 hit and your ass can't stop the shaking, they all on that. Still, from back then till today, the 808 is still the #1 drum machine of making you feel some type of way.
Absolutely. So I know I'm skipping around a little bit to make sure I don't forget stuff, but where did you end up going to college?
El Camino. That's where I met Farside at. We all went there together. With two of the members, it was Trey and I think Booty Brown. We all went there. And they had asked me, huh?
And what, because I know the reality is different, but there's also the perception like, oh, people weren't trying to go to college, but what made you yourself, what made you decide, oh, I'm going to go to college?
Because my mama said, you either get a job or take your ass to school to be on my insurance or get your own place. I went to school. That's what she told me. You either get a full-time or you're going to have to get a job or move somewhere else. And I was trying to be a DJ, so I did work. My first day out of graduate after high school, I had to go to work. And that's why I said it's a small story, because that's why I met Lil Stretch and a couple of guys that was on the Crips and Bloods and the Banging on Wax over there that was from Watts. Freeze and I met all of them. They was young. I didn't know they was rapping. Only one that was rapping was a guy named Six Pack. And I used to make 6-pack beats back in like 87 when I first started DJing at Skateland. And I used to go over there, leave Skateland. They would always ask me questions about how many Bloods would be up there. And they'd ask me, and I'd be sitting over there hungover trying to talk to them and shit. And but I had a good understanding with the guys from Watts, man. It was a good understanding over back in that era. So yeah, 6-pack, he ended up getting shot, put in a wheelchair, but he ended up getting out of it. He ended up getting on some of the, he was on the Nationwide Rip Riders. He wasn't on the Banging on Wax. I'm not too sure which ones he was on, but yeah, I met all them guys. And Stretch was a Blood too. And we had connected. We was swimming. I found out him and his older brother was, I knew he was. And there was some stuff that happened between the guys and Watts and his older brother. They was trying to jump him, and I stepped in between at a meeting and said, yeah, I ain't jumping. We can either fight or everybody got cooled in. And with Stretch, I didn't know he was ever going to be a rapper. He was just the only Blood that was in the damn pool. And he would fight any Crip, they talking about he was a little kid, man. He was like, put his way. If I was 17, he must have been about 14. And I done seen him smack the crap out of a bunch of, and would come back right out the Blood little projects and walk right across the street and go back swimming the next day. That dude was, he was funny to me, man. He was his own little world, but he got along with Crips too, like I did, you know, but everybody had it their own. And made it so funny by me leaving Watts and going back to my mama, he ended up hanging with the guys in my neighborhood. And that's when they got signed up with Death Row and made the Young Soldiers. And I'm with CMW on this plot right here, right next door, with all the cats with the Young Soldiers right next door.
That's crazy. So then how and when did you hook up with Quicksand?
Quicksand was all through DJ Slip. Quicksand was before, when I was in college. And he was at Lusinger High School. We would go up there and do talent shows and stuff like that. But he was a good writer, but his mind wasn't just there for rapping. It was like he liked to hustle. So if he could rob you, he would rob you. He was kind of like whatever he wanted to do, that's what he wanted to do. He wasn't into selling dope or nothing like that, but he was just always with the business his own way. He was in the little criminal world. Now if you talk to him, he sounded like me. He just never thought he would be two totally different there and now. You can see the growth, you know.
And then making the song with him for Under Investigation, what did that teach you about the music business or the music making process?
That's where I learned it all from, right then and there, right there. Watching Slip, track up and looking at, I mean, he first tried to show me how to work the EQ, and I was like, I just got lost right then and there. I didn't put my mind, I just knew the regular parametric EQ that go highs here, bass here, not the highs here and the low high here, and I was like, dude, I'm good. But I went to college and I took electronic music, and that kind of got me that way. And then hands-on was the best for me, basically.
And then what did you think of, since Compton's Most Wanted is on there with Rhymes Too Funky, what did you think of that song when you were you there when they were making it, or what was your first reaction to it?
I heard the song before they even rapped to it. So he was trying to, I liked it because I remember Public Enemy had that wow, 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 wow. And when Slip went wow, 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 I was like, okay, that's pretty hard. But I would always get on Slip sometimes. He would get so close to the boundaries. Like, I remember my clown Tim on the Desert Dash, we went Compton's in the house. And I said, you know what, that sound like that Brooklyn in the house. He said, that's why I did it. I said, good comeback. I said, so you started East Coast, West Coast? He was like, no, I just wanted to do it and see if they play it over there. And then NWA took it and made their stuff with it, and that's when that got over.
Right. And then what was the reason that Capone left the group?
No. He seen Unknown Shadiness before everybody else seen it. But Unknown was a giving guy. You know what I'm saying? He was a businessman, a giving. He was the big brother you love to hate. It's like he pulled one scam too many. And it wasn't even a scam. He felt that 8 was too young to have the money that he deserved. And that's the problem with a lot of business. They don't give them the money if they F up. That's on them. You know what I'm telling him at the time? See, I'm just a studio DJ, so I'm making, what, $250 a song. I'm not getting the writer's credit and all that because I wasn't producing. I didn't start producing until Music to Drive-By. I had my input on certain songs and was able to scratch and, you know, I made 40% of the show money back then, which was good for a DJ. But we wasn't, you know, we was only touring maybe every other weekend, you know, for why the album was hot. And then once the album ain't hot no more and the singles ain't coming out, then we back at home. So I was good. I was able to excel in the club scene, which battle DJs weren't good in the club scene. Club DJs were good in the club back then. People like Battle Cat and DJ Aladdin were good on the radio with Greg Mack. I never was a mix master. I was probably the only person from LA that's supposed to be a mix master. I didn't be a mix master. I stayed with Slip. So when they had the tryouts, it was on the radio. My mother said, "You want to go down there?" I said, "Nope." Plus, I didn't feel like dealing with them cats down there. Word on Wheels, man. Every time I went down there, it was always about to be an altercation. Crips was very aggressive back then. They still aggressive now, but that mentality back then was the movement for them, you know.
So then, with that, you and Slip were doing DJing though, right? Scratching on the albums. So how did you guys, starting with the Compton thing, how did you guys decide who's gonna do what, scratch-wise?
Slip decided it. So Slip felt like he wanted to Slip was, Unknown would make a beat. He would find like a lot of the hell of a samples came out of Unknown's collection. Unknown would put a lot of it together, but Slip would come by and put an edge on it. Because his mind was like, let me, kind of how what Dre did. When them New York people hear what I do, they're going to have to try to break it down mentally. That's when they're going to have to give me my respect. That's what Slip knew about it. So if you listen to like Growing Up in the Hood, instead of running the whole Long Red, they just had a little piece of Long Red and a little piece of Piece of President up in there, a little piece of Funky Drummer right. Instead of running the full Funky Drummer loop, they just put a little click or a little or, you know, he would always try to do that little type of stuff. And that's what he used to always tell me, don't be so spot on robotic either. Like making beats, you know, leave it a little loose. He said, because all music is off feel. Right. So don't leave, you know, if it could be a little bit off, leave it a little bit off sometime. Bring that for real sound, like, you know, you listen to a band play. A band ain't a robot. You don't want to listen to a robot the rest of your life. You want to hear real music. That trumps everything. That just, you know, he told me the music is the life of everything. That's what Slip had told me. Okay.
So then did Aunt Capone ever like tell you why he left, or he just stopped showing up?
Okay. Let's go to this story. What happened was when CMW signed to Techno Hop Records at first, that's when they first think this is a Compton thing came out of the Techno Hop first.
Right.
Then he was trying to get the album deal with Orpheus Records. At the same time, Aunt Capone's father was acting manager for CMW. Unknown he didn't like Aunt and the daddy were trying to be executive producers. They were fighting for the Orpheus deal, basically what happened. And Unknown, they took a lower cut than what the dad was asking for, and then went and told A, because I was there when he told A, he said, man, he said, I don't want Aunt in the group. And then me and Unknown got in a big argument. I said, look, check this out. I ain't trying to pick up nobody's slack for this group. Everybody got to hold their own way. I said, but won't you tell him to his face? And Unknown was like, he said, when have you seen that DJ? I said, well, basically never. He did DJ a few times in front of us. So I called Aunt on the phone. I had one of the banana cell phones. Called Aunt and told Aunt to come to Hawthorne. We was in Hawthorne at the time at Unknown's house. He had a studio in his apartment. He had a nice apartment too. And he had a little studio in the back. And Aunt went back there and him and Unknown had a few words. And Unknown said, I don't give a fuck. I got the deal anyway. And Aunt said, I'm killing him. And Aunt walked out. And me and Aunt was actually, we were the first friends. We would talk on the phone all the time. And me and Chill became Aunt. We walked. So Aunt said, man, y'all ain't gonna have no record deal. And I walked back. Something told me to look at A. And I looked at A, and I walked out. I said, dude, where you gonna get a deal at if you do what you gonna do to this guy? And Aunt walked in and looked at A, and he walked in. He said, that nigga ain't gonna get no deal, huh? I said, nobody gonna hire him. So he said, fuck it. He said, take care of him. Don't let nothing happen to him. And I said, all right. He just walked on. He just left. Because Aunt was full blown gang member at the time. He walked in. albino and a white guy. So he was blonde hair, everything. You know what I'm saying? He walked in, he was chunky. All you seen was blue rags and everything from Santana Block back in the days. And he walked in, he was about to give him the business. I kind of edged him on like, shit, I don't really know him like that. So by us, and then I was like, then he told me what actually happened. I just did like this, like unknown. So after that, unknown was straight. I'm talking about unknown will give me knowledge. I mean, he would tell me, you know, I was trying to produce a lot of groups, and he was like, man, get you one group and stick with it.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Yo MTV Raps with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.